Greetings and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast that's winding down the year with a Christmas Sneer. I'm your host, David Lloyd, and before we can have an episode devoted to the best of 2022, we're taking an episode to reflect on the biggest disappointments of the year. I'm sure there will be some hot takes, but all I ask is that the folks at home understand we only complain because we care. Joining us with his Festivus list of grievances, it's Casey Gibson.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was reading over the show notes and I'm like, oh, we're going negative this week, bringing the holiday cheer. But yeah, it's definitely been a year with some interesting things going on. So I'm sure we're each gonna have some games we're not too happy with, and no, it's not gonna be an Octopath Traveler hate episode as much as I'd love it to be.
Yeah. Luckily enough for Octopath, it did not release in 2022, so it by default gets to skate away from all the gets to duck its head under, hide in a corner somewhere. No, we're not going to be throwing grenades at it the entire episode.
Yep, yeah, don't worry, there'll be plenty of that in 2023 with the follow-up.
Yeah, that's right. And holding the bag of coal, checking the naughty list twice, it's Paige Chamberlain.
I might actually have Santa come visit me for once lately. I've got a reason for him to come back now.
Yeah.
Oh well, man, yeah, I can see how that's gonna re-energize Christmas moving forward, and especially in the years to come.
I'll see if I let him take the credit. That's
Yeah, it was. I guess can't remember if it was last year or the year before that Santa no longer got the credit in our household. So, but Christmas is no less fun because of it. So,
but he still demands cookie sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, you got to put it out just in case. It's like the Great Pumpkin from the Charlie Brown Halloween, where just in case you got to go put in your time because you never know.
I'm sure Jordan claims that Oreo is the Santa's cookie of choice.
Yeah.
I know Oreo claims that Oreo is Santa's cookie of choice. I actually saw that at the grocery store this week. God. Yeah, my kids were.
Well, it goes with milk, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. They got to try, but ain't nobody putting Oreos under the Christmas tree, you know?
No, it's not something that I would put with Christmas unless it's like some kind of peppermint
candy cane, gingerbread.
Candy cane icing Oreo or something like that. So the other fun thing about doing a most disappointed list this episode is we're recording moments before the Game Awards. So going as soon as we're done recording here, we're going to find out all the best stuff, and then we'll have a little chat about it on the next episode probably.
Yeah, we won't get to add the Game Awards 2022 as our biggest disappointment event.
No, not on this episode anyway. Yeah, and it'll be funny if some of the things we say get outdated by the Game Awards, like before I even get the recording to the feed. So that's always fun.
I tell you what, though, with all the rumors, and obviously, right, there's always rumors around these events of what's going to be shown off and this and that and the other thing, but it seems like this year there are more rumored things to be shown off, and I was joking before, E3 had to die for the Game Awards to actually be relevant. So,
yeah.
I mean, I like Jeff Keighley, and I like the idea of the event, so I'm pulling for it. I hope it comes through, and we have some good times.
Well, for me, it's actually at a reasonable time of day. So
what time is it? 7:30 in the morning?
It'll be 11:30 as opposed to normally like it's all that stuff 4 a.m. and then it's for 2 hours. So I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
Yeah, the only downside for me is that it's going to be going on during a hockey game, so I'll have one eye on one screen and maybe one on another. So.
Well, to be fair, most of it's you could probably keep it on mute until you see the world premiere blast up on the screen. Then you can check out what trailer we're watching.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for video game ads on one feed while trying to avoid sports betting, gambling ads on the other.
Yep. A never-ending battle.
Yep. But let's just jump into it. And we've got 4 categories, and we wrote down a lot of our answers beforehand, and I'm having a good chuckle at a lot of the running themes that we have. There's going to be a few crossover answers and that sort of thing, so it was interesting to see. But we'll start with the worst announcement of 2022. So this was the thing that we came out, some news item that came out, and we just were, went livid. Our faces went red when we heard the news. Salt, food didn't taste as good. The air wasn't as great. Energy went down, all those sorts of things. And Paige, why don't you kick us off with your most hated announcement of 2022?
Well, I basically copied yours in a way where I was like, a delay is pretty much the only thing I can think of that's a disappointment, really. Well, I guess other than maybe some online games shut down, things like that. And I saved one of them for Casey to talk about instead, so I've just picked Advance Wars because we were supposed to get the Advance Wars. Was it both 1 and 2 together or just?
Yep.
Yeah, like boot camp or something. Yeah, that was supposed to come out early in the year. Then they delayed it because of the war. And
that might be the true worst announcement of the year.
And yeah, and then the war continued, so they just it's not coming out. Yeah, no news on it at all. And like some people had it preloaded, so like when the date came, the game actually unlocked and they could play it. So like the game was done. There's a done game that's just not getting sold, and it's like
it's super
also
frustrating.
That's like, does that mean people can get their money back if they couldn't access like the pre-orders, like the digital ones? Because you can't just delay something that they've paid for.
Especially like inevitably.
Yeah.
I understand like the beginning, maybe an initial delay for a little bit, right? Like obviously news drops. That's a pretty huge world event. And like maybe the timing wouldn't be great to be like, hey, let's release a game that's called Advance Wars and like is all bubbly and happy about the topic. But I mean, come on, it's been months now, and it's like it doesn't seem like there's any end in the near future. So yeah, what are they going to hold this game out forever? And also, let's not like, I mean, the United States of America was like in a war for like 20 years, and
there's always a war somewhere.
Yeah, so it's like I get maybe not wanting to be too.
Supposedly, it's because like the first mission was them fighting basically not Russia or something, but I don't know. I feel like they should have just released it because it's like it was done, and it seems like.
And
are any investment
remake of an existing game too, so it's not like it's
you could go play
new,
that first level. Yeah. I was gonna say, is anyone going to be upset about beating the Russians up in a tutorial? Come on.
I'm just gonna have to get to the Wii eShop before it shuts down and buy the GBA Virtual Console game.
Yeah, so frustrating because it was supposed to be the beginning of this. Well, it was supposed to be a while ago, right? And then it was the beginning of this month, and now it's just who knows.
Well, I heard a rumor about it being announced at like a Game Award date, but I mean, it's a pretty obvious rumor.
That's hopeful thinking.
Because I was gonna I'll play this before another game. I was gonna buy that's like inspired by Advance Wars, and then I'd be able to see what how much of it is based on that. And instead, it's like, oh no, this other one's been out. Like the Kaiju Wars has been out for months, and Advance Wars still isn't.
Very annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's all delays for us as disappointing announcements go.
Yeah. Well, except also I'll start with my biggest beef of 2022 is the ongoing persecution of Yuji Naka.
Yeah. Poor fella. He didn't do anything wrong.
I just heard the news today. If you're
saying you wouldn't do insider trading, it's actually funny. I watched a whole video because there's a channel, Video Game Story Time, and they talked about that insider trading is a massive thing in Japan, to the point that it costs the economy billions. So they started just picking people to arrest for it, because they'll never catch everyone that does it. So they just find someone and make an example of them because just so many people do it.
Yeah. Well, the funniest thing about that announcement today that he got arrested for a second time was that they made a point of saying that the other people that were arrested in the same raid were former Square employees, not current Square. So I'm like, well, at least nobody there is going down. It's all former people. So
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. As long as Yoshi P makes it out alive.
Yeah, that would be the one. Yeah. No.
Wasn't he the one that had his like face censored in a photo or something, and people got mad on his behalf, and
Oh, maybe.
then this
Well,
stuff happens?
the funny thing too is in both cases it was in regards to mobile game development. So if
Yeah.
this says anything, it's that no mobile game should be made ever, and the world would be a better place.
Amen.
But I'll give my real answer, and it's like you said, Paige. It's another announcement of a delay, and that's for the Knights of the Old Republic remake. So this one now, supposedly there's good news that came out, but initially what we found out was that the executives over at Sony and Lucasfilm saw what Aspire had made so far, and were so enraged and disgusted by what they seen that they took Aspire right off the project, and the art director and the design director were both fired. So
Yeesh.
yeah, so I'm thinking it did not look good from if you're firing people like that. So I know Embracer, I don't know what company is, like if Aspire was just bought out or who Embracer was connected with. But when they made a purchase of one of these companies, I guess they purchased the Knights of the Old Republic remake, and they've now switched it over to Saber Interactive, which I believe is based out of Europe. And supposedly they're supposed to be kind of running with the ball now, and I don't know, they're claiming that it hasn't affected the release kind of schedule, but I have a hard time believing, like, if it was so bad that they've sent it over to another company, there's no way that it hasn't been delayed by like at least a couple of years, I would have to think.
Yeah, it seems like a delay, or like I don't even know. They no crunching, but like they'd have to do a serious crunch if that were no delays. If they did
Yeah.
such a drastic change. So
Well, it's even possible, like, if it's so bad that, like, is it even ever coming? Like, there's questions of if it'll ever get finished. Like, there's been plenty of games like this in this kind of situation where, like, it just keeps getting delayed, and then we're just never going to see it. And so I'm pretty concerned with it. Like, the thing is I really enjoyed Knights of the Old Republic when it came out, but trying to play the game now is like it is old. Like, it's a tough playthrough now, I think. So to get like a remake for PS5, I was really excited about it. I think it would be a fun time to get to play that again in a modern remake, and have a really fun CRPG for the PS5. But I guess we'll have to see.
fingers crossed.
Yep. And Casey, I know you're gonna do the trifecta of disappointing news on
Yeah,
delays.
I was trying to think of really, like if there was any announcement that was truly like, I mean, Sonic Frontiers. I mean, I guess that was announced last year, right? So you can't call that, or a couple years, whenever that was. But and then I was thinking too along the lines of like Diablo Immortal, right? Like how putrid the monetization of that game. But I don't think they did really an announcement on that. I think the game released and everyone was like, oh geez.
They announced it the other year and then mocked people for being upset by going, "Don't you guys have phones?"
Oh yeah, no, I definitely
Yeah.
Well, and that was before we knew just how bad they
Mm.
were going to be ripping people off. But yeah, that was a disaster. But I went with Breath of the Wild too, which now I guess Tears of a Kingdom, right?
Yep.
Zelda.
Tears of the Kingdom.
So worst in the sense that like, and really, I mean, we all thought, or most of us thought, right, like it's probably not coming out in 2022, but to get the final confirmation is like, what a bummer. Mostly and mainly because that game looks absolutely wonderful. Oh my goodness, I can't wait. What is it March? Is that the?
I thought it was May.
Yeah, I
Oh
think it's
god,
May. Yeah.
gotta wait even longer. But yeah, that game's gonna be awesome. Although I tell you what, the beginning of next year is gonna be stacked.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the first half. Woo!
The first quarter for me, like there's like one day where 3 games are coming out the same day. In February.
The Square Enix effect. Just throw it all at the same time. Screw it.
I don't even know if it's any of those were Square Enix ones, I think, for once.
Well, yeah, they blew all the games they had this end of this year.
Yeah, I know that you got the two Personas coming out in January, and then Octopath 2 is in February. Fire
Yeah,
Emblem
well,
Engage, I think, is
January,
January.
yeah, but we can talk about that when we do we talk about next year's games, I
Our
guess.
good, yeah, our
Yep.
excitement.
Like I said, like just from those first 3 months, we'll have plenty to say, even if we don't know what else is coming.
Paige, like, there's too much optimism going on in this downer
Yeah.
cast.
Yeah. well, let's get back to the things that made us upset, and we're going to the next category, which is the wish I could get a refund game. So this is the game that we purchased with our money, and might have played it for a bit, or maybe didn't play it at all. But by the time we were done with the experience, we really regretted having spent that money, and if there was some kind of way to tell our old selves not to get it, or even just to get a refund, we would take it. So Casey, what was your game that you wish you didn't spend the money on?
Well, at first I was thinking Mario Golf, but
Hmm.
that came out last year, which is crazy that it's been like the time
Yeah,
has
this
just
year
flown
was
by.
the soccer game, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Strikers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even bother getting which is unfortunate because I like strikers, but yeah,
Fool me once.
yeah, yeah. So I was like, man, I'd love to go with Mario Golf Super Rush, but instead I went with Bayonetta 3, which is truly upsetting because I picked this game up after being super hyped for it for years, right? Like 4 years, however many years it was, a long time. Yeah, it was announced in December 2017. So
Holy moly.
almost 5 years of hype.
Yep.
And yeah, it just didn't live up to it. I was enjoying it at first, and it more Bayonetta, which is good, but to me the biggest thing was just so in that game, for those who haven't played it, it's a character action game, right? So like you get into different areas where you just got to like beat the crap out of a bunch of enemies, and the idea is to do it sort of stylish and fast without getting hit, and then you would get like a grade or a medal, depending on how well you or how poor you did, either or. And they call them verses. So each level consists of X amount of verses. And then there are times in between the verses where you're sort of doing some light exploration. There's some like sort of puzzly things to find. And then the idea is you keep moving forward to the next verse, and at the end it adds up all the verses, and you get like an overall level grade, if you will. So it to me, like, the verses felt fine doing the combat areas, but like the in between just ended up being like a slog. Whereas like I just almost wish like after the verse was over, it would just send me like even if there was like a 15-second cutscene of me walking over to the next one would have I felt had been better than just going in there and like wandering around. It just didn't feel good necessarily to wander. And I guess I don't have any concrete information, but I guess there's rumors that like Platinum really wanted to do more like open worldy stuff, and then I guess either Nintendo or whoever was like, nah, let's reel it in a little bit. So maybe that's why the areas in between feel bigger and more empty, because maybe they had bigger plans and then sort of cut it back. Don't know per se, but at the end of the day, it was a game I really look forward to, and just didn't hit the mark. And part of that might be that I was playing Persona 5 at the same time, and it was like, well, I could keep playing this game I'm not really super enjoying, or I could just play one of the best games ever. So that might have been a factor for my lack of enjoyment, but it definitely does not stand up as high as the first two,
Hmm,
especially two.
I've heard some very mixed things. So some people are like I love it, and then others are like got massive criticisms of it. One thing from not playing it myself, but I can see like the visuals are definitely like seem worse than the other like the previous game. Like the way the characters and stuff look, and I think part of that
Yeah.
is having the big environments really kind of messed with a lot of things.
Yeah, no, like I said, I love the character and I love the previous two games, but this wasn't it.
Only so much memory to go around. If you're wasting it on environment, then you can't put it on the characters.
Yeah, dang old Nintendo and your weak system.
your your system based on 2010 cell phone.
Ugh.
Well, I learned recently that the reason some games don't allow for the video capture is to try and have more memory, basically. So that's why some of the Warriors games don't. And I've actually I'm playing Dragon Quest Treasures. That won't let me do video clips either.
That's so sad.
I know, especially if something funny happens. It's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually noticed that. So the kids they play Fortnite, and so I got it on my PS5, and the newest chapter came out, and it used Unreal Engine 5, which just recently came out. So it's a lot more. There's a lot more going on, more graphically intense, uses more memory, but it's the same thing. The video capture is gone. I'm assuming it's trying to use like the full. It must need all the memory the PS5's got to make it run. So it's funny that that's the thing that you will start to lose video capture, I guess, on a lot of these really intensive games.
Mm. Yeah, and then I'm not sure. I don't know about that technical stuff, but like I was watching a video on Bear3's performance, and like some of the comments were just like, yeah, the Switch does have a bit of a memory problem or like memory leak issues.
I believe it.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Jingle bells, Batman smelt, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel, and the Joker got away.
So Paige, how about you? Which game would you trade back for some to get your cash back?
Well, it's digital, so I can't get my cash back, which is why it's wish I could get a refund. Because normally I ask for eShop cards whenever I'm asking for a present. This time I got a heap, so I bought a bunch of different things, and one of the games I bought was Bear and Breakfast, and I hadn't looked up too much of it other than checking the like performance on Switch was okay. I don't like it at all. It's a cozy, like B&B, like, bread and breakfast making sim, but like it's too cozy. It's very boring and slow. The management, like I prefer my management games to have a little bit more management, because all you do is like run around, collect materials, decorate the room, and maybe make some amenities. You don't like organize, and you like book people in and they just go and take care of themselves. Like you don't organize any bills, you don't organize like their food or anything like that. It's just like more like a little decorating sim, but so far there wasn't much in the way of decorating. And just like walking around, and then to progress I need money, so I'm waiting for the days to be over so I can go to sleep to progress
It's
time.
like real life. That's a great
So
sim.
like I've got like there's nothing else to do except go pick up more stuff. Like without the money, it's just like I'm just waiting for the money, so people need to stay a certain number of days, and I don't have anything to do. Like I don't take care of them or anything. I just build better facilities to attract more people or to get better reviews, right? And yeah, I was very disappointed by that. Because like I don't play those intense full on simulation games, but I definitely obviously like to have a bit more to do than just sitting around. And then when you're trying to look up other people's opinions on something, yeah, they like mixed in. People are like, oh, but you've got to do this. I'm like, yeah, but that's the only thing. That's the only thing you do is get more decorations. And like in the meantime, I'm being bored out of my mind. So I wish I could refund that game.
It'd be funny if you could play cribbage with the people staying in the bed and breakfast. And that was the only way to pass it.
That'd be something,
Who'd like to play some bridge?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we talked about previous years, I would say that the Clubhouse games was like one of my disappointments. I've had like some years where I've actually done quite a few refunds of some Nintendo games.
Yeah, I don't think there is like Nintendo doesn't have a refund policy for digital, I guess, eh?
No,
Unless it's Pokemon Violet and Scarlet.
Because I think Steam has like if you have only played for like 2 hours and it's within a certain amount of days, I think you can get a refund. But no, I still don't think Nintendo has anything.
But most games I've got physical, so I could at least get something back. Whereas
it's
like I
sell
cannot
it to somebody who wants it. Yeah.
Well, for me, I kind of had a very similar experience as Casey, where initially I was really digging the game. I was really into it and having a blast. And I think like for the first 3 levels, it was just so crazy that I just was just really enjoying myself. And then realized that every level felt like the last one, and I just was like, oh man, I'm so bored. And that is a Stranger Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. So all of the crazy Jack quotes, uh, this weird like regular humans in the Final Fantasy world that seemingly was going on, all of that craziness, even like I enjoyed the combat to a certain extent for a little while anyway. It was just doing good, but then I don't know, it just felt monotonous by the fourth, fifth, sixth levels. It's just, I don't know, I just felt like I'm just kind of running through a level and kind of having the same fights with the same types of enemies, and you get a little story scene, little cinema scene at the end, and then move on to the next. And I was just like, oh man, too much. And the I know one of the big criticisms of the game was the inventory system. Like, you're always getting equipment all the time, and that wore on me too. Like, it was just a few factors of things where I'm like, you know what, this seems like a game tailor made for me, but it's just, I'm not feeling it. And for the full price, it might have, I can't even remember, it might have even been like a full PS5 price because I got the PS5 version. So
It's funny seeing you put that there because my husband actually beat it like last week, and I've been watching him grind to get to the DLC content,
oh yeah,
and he really liked the game. So
Well, at least Owen's enjoying it.
yeah,
yeah.
um,
I could see how people would enjoy it. Like,
well,
there's definitely
he likes the Neo games, and that's similar because it's the same sort
Yeah.
of team. Just they've changed some aspects, obviously.
yeah. No, just didn't jive, but that's okay because Square has like a million games, and if one
Yeah.
doesn't work, there'll be 10 others to try. So
Square's got a
Mm.
game for you. You just got
yeah,
yeah.
that's right. You just got to keep buying them all until you find it.
See, it's like I don't want to, say I have a faith publisher because both Nintendo and Square have many problems. But when they're pumping out that many games, and you're like, at least a third of them,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to say than a company that's only doing it like once every 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So that'll take us into the third category we have of 4. And this one is the game I was excited to buy but didn't. So it could be for a number of reasons. Maybe you forgot it was
Budget.
coming out, or yeah, sorry,
Budget,
budget. Yeah, that's true.
especially I think some of these, like the months that we're getting very sandwiched of.
Yeah, well,
Like-
that's the thing. Maybe it came out next to something else that ended up getting. But yeah, there's we each had a game. I think we each had a few games. But we stuck to one that we probably said on a podcast, one of these episodes, about how we were going to buy it and love it, and then just never bought it. So I'll kick this one off. And for me this year, it was Soul Hackers 2. So I was pretty excited to get this one. I was a huge fan of Shin Megami Tensei 5 on Switch. I had a blast with that one, especially when I bought like the full. I guess I didn't buy it. I ended up reviewing it somehow. I don't remember how. And I got all like the DLC and stuff, so I was able to get those Midama, I think they're called, to really. I didn't have to grind. I got all the boosts where you and Jordan are like, I don't know how you keep leveling up so quickly.
Yeah. You were like, I'm level 83. Like, dude, you've been playing the game for like 7 hours. What's going on?
Yeah. And I'm like, I just keep fighting the Midama. I don't know why you guys can't find these things. But yeah, I loved it. Like it was classic SMT. It had, the demon fusing and had a great story. The kind of open world was great. Obviously I love the personas. Like, I had a blast playing 5 again, looking forward to 4 and 3. I've played other SMTs. Like, I had started SMT 4 on 3DS, I think last year or earlier this year. I can't remember. Was having fun with that one, and so I was thinking like, okay, Soul Hackers 2, I'm looking forward to this one. This seems like a good follow-up to SMT 5, And for me, it was kind of a combination of hearing that it was kind of middling, like it was basically just kind of a generic SMT, where I'm like, I'm kind of at the point now. It's like I don't want a generic one. Like if I'm going to play it, it has to be like in depth, like 5. Like I don't want to half done one. And then I started hearing like comparisons to Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which I absolutely hated. So I'm like, nope. If this is just like along those lines, like forget it. Like I'm not fool me once, not fool. I'm not gonna fall for that again.
I remember after I first beat the original Persona 5, I was in the mood for more, so I started playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, and then I was like, and then I ended up going to Persona 3 instead and paying the like. Oh, actually, it'd be interesting to find out if the price that Persona 3 Portable on the PlayStation like Vita store is compared to what it's going to be in January on the Switch and stuff.
Yeah,
I pay like $45 for it, so.
I would guess it's probably going to be $39.99. I would guess.
Yeah. With those, I was like, people were saying, "Oh, so physical." I'm like, they should have packed 3 and 4 and Arena, because Arena is also like characters from 3 and 4, and that would have been like a good triple pack to bump it up to above retail price.
Yeah,
but that would be sensible, and we can't have that. We'll just have $90 DLC instead. Soul Hackers 2 was actually one that I also didn't pick up. Again, like I saw like it was listening to people that were playing it before it came out, and just that it seemed very generic and budget wise, because a lot of these middling games are full price, like the $100, like I get a discount, but like still cost more than like the average game I normally buy, like a Switch. How much a Switch game costs me, because they're about like 80, and some of these are like 90 or $100. These like Japanese ones. Well, Nintendo is cheap, but like the ones you call maybe anime games, like so from Atlas and all the stuff from like Bandai Namco is usually that like $90 instead of 80. So I didn't get that because that was also, I think I cancelled quite a few pre-orders that month. Soul Hackers, and can I interrupt Casey to go to my game since it's on topic?
Yeah, sure.
And Digimon Survive was also one that I'd cancelled. Unlike a lot of people, I knew that was going to be mostly visual novel, because I know a lot of people, because it's like it was a game people were waiting for ages. I think it got constantly pushed back, and people knew it was going to be a tactics game, but I think a lot of people didn't know that it was going to be very visual novel heavy, and I did know that before it came out. But again, I think it was just a matter of, I'm sure, what release month was that? Like August or before August or something?
Yeah, it was definitely around the same time as Soul Hackers, like August, September, I think.
Yeah, July. Yeah, July and August was like packed with games, and like so those two were just like, and again like the being priced higher compared to something else I was buying that month, and I was just like, no, okay. And that stuff also doesn't go on sale. Like maybe Soul Hackers has, but I don't think Digimon's like, if you didn't pre-order it, good luck getting a print of it kind of a game. So yeah, that's how I decided not to get it. Was just sometimes money isn't growing on trees just yet. So
nope. Yeah, unfortunately.
And then sometimes
plenty of games.
There's plenty of games. There's plenty of good games, and you got to pick which ones you want more. I'm just trying to scroll back to the month to try and see what was coming out. There was heaps of stuff I didn't pick up, like the Klonoa or whatever, like remaster. That was also like $90, and I'm like, no. Yeah, heaps of things came out then, and you just got to pick what's more important, and don't waste your money on digital indie games that you didn't research properly, because you can't cancel that, you can't trade that.
Yep.
Well, speaking of strategy games, that happens to be one of the games that I skipped as well, and that's Tactics Ogre Remake, or Reborn, I believe.
Yeah, Reborn. Yep.
And so I've never played a Tactics Ogre game, but I remember people talking about Tactics Ogre 64, right? One of the few RPGs on the system. So it's always been sort of in the know. I've known about it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but I've never actually dived in. And after I finished Xenoblade 3, I was in that sort of I want a strategy game mood, so much that I have picked up Triangle Strategy and just never opened it. It's still sitting over there underneath my TV. So I forgot what game came up, but Persona was it? I guess I jumped into Persona.
Yep.
I've been playing that for 2 months now. So it's one of these games I really want to play still. And when I get over the Persona hump, which I'm almost there, the big question will be which game do I jump into next? And I might be ready for a strategy game. I might go Tactics Ogre. I might Triangle Strat. But also Dragon Quest Treasures is right around the corner,
It's
as in
out today in Australia.
Yeah, it's out.
I've already
Yeah,
beaten
I
it
guess
though,
today
so-
too in America, right? It's the 8th that comes out. Gosh. Which I'm going to pick that up. I've got it pre-ordered. I'm going to go buy it and get it. But I think I'm not going to play it until I finish Persona 5. So I'm going to try and grind out Persona 5 over the next week or so.
I mean,
and then I can move on.
Treasures, you'll definitely be wanting to, collect a bunch of stuff in it. So,
Yeah.
on the plus side, it'll be a good break after Persona because it took me 20 hours and I did not all the side quests, but like I did a heap of like some of the completed like 2 whole quest chains and stuff as well.
Okay,
So,
yeah. So that's going to be
it's
so nice because I'm at 78 hours right now.
So it's a bit shorter,
Persona
even
save.
if you do a bunch of extra stuff.
Yeah.
And now I've unlocked like post game, and I'm like, oh my god, I was gonna move on to Persona Strikers or something, but
Yeah,
Well-
and I still have all the royal content to get through. So
Yeah, I was asking, are you gonna go through the royal stuff or?
yeah, I believe so. I mean,
Yeah.
is it worth it? I mean, it seems like it'd be worth it, right?
I guess I shouldn't say who the final
Yeah,
dungeon is.
yeah.
but,
Don't tell me that.
it was fun. I enjoyed it. Like it wasn't that long. Like it's not comparatively, I guess. Well, I guess the one thing is like there's set days that. So it takes course I think over like 2 months in game,
Yeah,
or maybe just a little.
I don't know if
But
it was
there's specific days that you have to go in.
yeah. I
Oh,
actually
you don't
I
get
got
to
really
decide.
annoyed at that because I'm like, it's your last bit of extra free time, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and that, and they kept having story event days, and I'm like, while
Yeah.
while the countdown was going, like you have this many days to do it, and then the story days were happening, and I'm like, normally there's 3 days, and then the countdown.
Yeah, don't do this to me.
Yeah.
But no, it's worth it. Like I felt like it was like another, I want to say 5 to 10 hours after like the original ending.
Yeah, I feel like
yeah, it's
at
only
this
like a palace, and so not much.
that
Yeah.
doesn't seem so bad. Yeah, I feel like at this point I've put enough time into the game where like an extra 10 hours I might as well do it and just be, hey, I did the full on
Get the true
playthrough.
ending.
Yeah.
See the true ending yourself, not on YouTube.
Yep, yeah, like hey, I did it all and I could put a bow on Persona cuz like I said it's been one of those games I know I had to beat it. I know it's really good and
Well, you're
so,
on.
yeah, I'm in like I think I'm like really, really close to finishing what would quote unquote be like I guess the base game.
Yeah, the original ending, and you're on PlayStation, so you'll get that nice little achievement once you complete it.
Yep, yeah. So that I'm gonna finish that. Then it'll probably be Dragon Quest Treasure, and then yeah. After that point, I guess. Oh yeah. I think
Crisis Core.
I'm shifting Crisis Core to my Christmas game because they both come so darn close.
Yeah.
That I don't want to get them both at the same time. I feel like Crisis Core will be shorter as well. I think. I don't know.
I think it's
that's
like 15 to 20. I think
like beautiful. Like that's what I need.
Yeah.
because it was a PSP game. So
And I think that'll be a good like Christmas morning. Like let's bust out a beautiful PS5 looking game.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, Tactics Ogre one day, and I know you played a very little bit of it, right? I know Jordan was doing a more thorough playthrough.
I think Jordan beat it, and I bought Tactics Ogre for the Steam Deck, and I played a few hours, I think.
Maybe that could be like a good January episode or something, or like February when like we get past the thick of the holidays and
I think we're pretty actually stacked for episode ideas for once because we're going to do Persona, we're going to do Dragon Quest Treasures. You guys are going to do Crisis Core. Well,
We could definitely do like a full-on Persona spoiler cast.
Yeah.
The number of games I think are going to force us to actually
Play
do a
games
better
and
job at scheduling.
do episodes about the actual games and not just topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're also going to do what good games of the year and talking about games coming out next year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, some of the games being shorter also helps us actually talk about them.
Yep.
We were supposed to do. I think there was another game we were supposed to play as well.
Yeah, I think there was a couple that we talked about.
Like Shadows
And,
Over Loathing and
Oh, right, yeah.
yeah.
I did play a little bit more of that. I think I put like 4 hours in there now.
Oh, so pretty good. I think I just did the tutorial, so
Oh, okay. No, there's a lot of funny things, and so I made it to. There's like, see, the tutorial is the. So did you get to the actual town where his uncle lives or whatever it is?
yeah. So like I did
Okay.
the bus stuff.
Yeah. So I got there, and then they take you. You do a little bit of exploring of like the places in the town and stuff. So it's yeah, I'm having a good time with it so far, but I definitely like haven't played for a little bit, for probably a couple weeks now. So, but we'll get back on it.
But that's one we can squeeze in because it shouldn't be too long of a game.
No, I think it's like 8 to 10 hours. I think, so not too bad. Yeah.
I know I beat West of Loathing in like 1 5-hour session and didn't go to sleep. I just from when I first started playing it,
beginning to end,
having too much of a good time. Yeah.
Yep.
Feels good to get those games that you can do that with, though.
Yeah. Or like a really short book, and you can do that too.
Well, this brings us to the final category of the episode, and this is just the
You just read Casey.
Oh yeah, I know. I was surprised to see it too, especially considering the name of the podcast that he's the host of as well. But this is the overall biggest disappointment of the year for 2022. And why don't we start with Casey's, because it is the funniest, I think. I was not expecting it, but I can't disagree with you. So you take it away, Casey.
Yeah, I'm going with a blanket Nintendo. I feel like their output this year and stemming into last year has just been lackluster and poor. So let's see, I had a list here. So this are the notable releases from this year, right? So you've got Pokemon Arceus, Legends Arceus. I know that was, pretty well received, but again, it ran like crap on the Switch. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, actually a good game.
Yeah,
Nintendo Switch Sports.
She's ready to jump all over you with it.
No. Kirby, honestly, I think is the second best Nintendo game I played all year. We're going to get into a little game called Nintendo Switch Sports, but I'd say that's on the disappointing side. Strikers, I haven't played it, but from what I gather, it just,
They didn't have like some single player stuff or whatever, I think was the complaint.
Putting the money out, or putting the game out for the money,
Yeah.
I like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a lot, so, okay. Splatoon 3, more of the same. Bayonetta 3, meh. Scarlet and Violet Pokemon, literally the worst running, technologically speaking Pokemon game, like to the point where they were accepting refund requests because it ran so poorly. And then like I said, stemming into last year, Mario Golf, like honestly, they're resting on their laurels. They know they got a big boy system selling bajillions of copies, and they could poop out a freaking Mario Golf and it sells 3 million plus copies, So
I was gonna say the sport we're waiting for next for Mario is, I think, baseball, and basketball, I think.
And I was thinking too, right? So like golf just came out, right? That was
last summer, I think, right?
And like, right. So to me, it almost feels like they probably, and this is going off no facts at all. This is just purely
feelings.
Yeah. Is like they probably could have released that with when the game came out, but they were like, you know what, we could wait and release it in the beginning of December, and then now people are thinking about it again, and like it'll get more sales. I don't think they couldn't release a game with tennis, bowling, swordplay, soccer, badminton, volleyball, and golf all at once. They had to wait for golf to come out later.
Mm.
Like, to me, it reeks of like, all right, let's keep this game relevant and get a second sales bump around the holidays.
Well, they've
When we
done that with a few
release.
games too. Because didn't golf
Yes.
come out with like missing features and
Yeah, I
like-
heard golf isn't even that good.
yeah.
And then like you've got Splatoon where it's like, hey, we're going to release the same game pretty much. And I don't remember offhand, but I remember when it came out, I looked at the new versus the old, and like there's way too much old
Lack of
versus
clues.
new stuff in that game.
But yeah, it's definitely a big thing. Is especially with the Animal Crossing Splatoon series, where it's like the same team working on it, whatever, where they're like, we're going to do updates for 2 years and that's it. And then for Splatoon 3, we waited 3 months to get an update. And there's so many clothes and stuff from the last game that just aren't in it, which is like, it should be more, not less. It's a sequel.
Yeah. No,
and
it
then
just
Animal Crossing, they only supported it for like 2 years, and then they're like, the rest of us have got to finish working on Splatoon, I guess.
and really like the supporting it was just releasing the rest of the content that should have came with the game.
Sorry, that wasn't even support. Some people said that about Splatoon 2 as well, where it's like, what, in Splatoon 3 we've got like frick all maps at all, hardly any, and it's like, we should have more, not less, for each new one. And then Animal Crossing was the worst because they didn't have the holidays initially, and like, if you don't have the internet, and because they forget that people don't have the internet and still own things and buy things, or maybe don't, at least not at home. If you pick up Animal Crossing and you don't update it, you don't get any of you don't get Toy Day or Halloween or anything.
Yeah, and I remember being like I even gave them a pass on Animal Crossing because at the time I was like, oh well, maybe they're releasing it more so people aren't just time skipping ahead and getting everything right off the bat. But yeah, in hindsight, it was probably more like, yeah, we'll finish up the Christmas Toy Day, when it comes out in 9 months. Like, we don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah, it's just it's not like the events were particularly overwhelmingly special or much of an improvement over the other game. And Switch Sports doing the update. A lot of them, just the Mario Sports games in general. Like, I did a video on why I don't buy them, and they release extra characters instead of just as DLC, so that way the game goes trending on social media again, so maybe more people will buy it in like second and third waves instead of
it's disgusting.
Like, I didn't feel as bad when they did it with like ARMS. It didn't feel as bad because it was like a new game, and new games might cut some concepts and stuff like that. But when you're doing it to like the Mario Golf games, the Switch Sports, Animal Crossing, and you're cutting out the holidays, like that's
guys, Diddy Kong's finally coming to Mario Golf. Woo! It's like, you should have been there from the get-go.
Yep.
For me, my biggest disappointment was Nintendo Switch Sports, and that is one of the games that actually refunded. So, like, sometimes I have to trade it. But, if I don't redeem the gold points on the cartridge and it's been soon enough, I can actually just return the game. So, I think the main issue was a lot of people said a lot of the game modes were the same. Like, there was just several, like, it was badminton and volleyball, a bunch of like the samey things. For me, one issue was the Joy-Cons are just not comparable to the Wii remotes. It just doesn't feel that good. It was like why I got rid of Mario Tennis, because there was a motion control mode, but it just doesn't feel good at all. And it's cute that there's like all these little costumes and stuff, and you can still be the Mii, but it was just like, I just rather play Wii. I could just play Wii Sports. And then I think my mum and that got a copy, so I was like, there we go, because I'm only going to play this with other people. I'll just play it at their place. But it was
probably more fun too.
And they've finally, after they even delayed the golf too, after saying like when it was going to be, did they say they're going to do any more sports? Probably not. Again, like, there's less than the previous game, and I don't know why they keep. Well, they do it because they can. I mean, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold 10 million copies in 3 days, so who cares?
Yeah, like I said, it's sort of a cycle you sort of see with whichever company's on top, right? Like, PlayStation 2 with Sony, they came out, and then like PS3 was a disaster because they were like, oh, we can do no wrong.
Mm.
Xbox
Wii to
360,
Wii
right?
U.
Yeah, the Xbox up to Xbox One, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do, you can't sell your game, and then like, no, you're an idiot, and then everyone shifted. Yeah, same with Wii to Wii U. It just, whenever these companies get on top, they get lazy. Um,
And greedy.
I miss the Wii U days where like they had, I mean, and
Oh
not
no.
to
No,
say
no. Think about how bad Mario Party 10 and Mario
well, I
Tennis
was
were
gonna
on the
say, not to
Wii.
say that all games were gems on there, because yeah, like Amiibo Festival and all that stuff. But for the most part, most of their games are really amazing. In fact, so much that they just ported them all to Switch, and those are some of the best games on Switch. Yeah, I don't know, Nintendo, lazy bones.
Yeah. Well,
They could poop out a game and put Mario on it, and all of a sudden it sells. When you got 100 million Switches or whatever it is, or close to, or over. I don't even know at this point.
yeah, I think it's
You're
more than
gonna
that
get it.
now.
You need 1% of the fan base to buy the game, and it's going to be a success. So
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna continue the Nintendo pile on because my biggest disappointment was Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I'm sure lots of people think I'm nuts, but man, I was so excited for that game after playing the second one, and it's so weird to me. Like I feel like the Xenoblades are like in certain buckets. Like obviously X is kind of a thing out of its own, and to me 1 and 3 are kind of similar, and then 2 is just its own thing. And I know I've heard the criticisms of 2, but the thing is like to me, 2 had the better combat system. It evolved over time. Like, you first of all you start with 1 blade, then 2 blades, then 3 blades, and then doing like the final blast was it was almost like a puzzle. Like you had different, depending on the blade that you had, you could do certain attacks, or you could chain them in certain ways. And for me, like in Xenoblade, 5 minutes into the game, I'm playing like from 5 minutes to 30 hours or 40 hours, whatever it was when I finally stopped. Like the battles never changed. It was just the same.
Oh, so
They
you
had
didn't
it's
finish
them.
it either.
No, I stopped at the end of chapter 5, because it's like, this is boring. Like
Did Casey
all I'm
finish
doing
it?
is swiping through all the classes. Like it's like whenever you play for a couple hours and everyone hits 10, and then you got to swipe, you got to switch everyone's class because they're not leveling up anymore. And then when you go to switch the classes, now I got to make sure, because every battle is like, you have to have the knockdown and the
The
stun
combo.
and you have to make sure that you can do the combos. And then like the fighting is literally standing still waiting for the menu to pop up for the special, and then I'm just doing math exercises
Yeah.
of, okay, how do I get to 100? Like that's the combat. I stand still and then I wait until I get to a point where I can then do addition, and then
I
and then it's over. Like it's so boring.
I liked what I played, but I didn't finish it either. I think I finally stopped at like when you get the boat. And I just had this thing where I put it down for a week and then come back and then put it down for 2 weeks and that'd be a month and then
Yeah.
um, I know when my husband's watching me play, he just keeps complaining about it because he was talking about like the visual noise for one thing, just not being able to like see what's going on. And I said my eyes are just on the icons on the bottom of the screen. I'm not looking at what's happening
Yeah.
above.
Well, yeah, that's the other problem is you got like 6 of your own characters, plus you probably have a hero that's with you, and then you've got several enemies. But yeah, you're not looking at anything that's going on anyway because you're too busy trying to get the combos, because that's the only way you can actually finish the bat. Like, and that was my beef with the first Xenoblade, is like, there's only one way to do a battle. I have to do the combo. If I'm not doing the stun, knockdown, throw up, whatever combos, then you're not winning the battle. So it's like, well, why am I forced to do this win in this very specific way for every single battle?
Yeah,
And
I feel like a lot of games sort of fall in that trap, But I guess, yeah, when there is a bunch of waiting around and not really doing too much with the auto attacks and everything.
Like the only thing I feel like I could do would be to constantly switch between characters to try and micromanage them before they use stuff I didn't want them to or something, and like play it like an MMO, but I'm the whole party. Like this, and that just is too complicated.
It definitely had some poor healer AI at times, especially
Yeah.
early.
And the quests, like all the quests just felt like fetch quests. It was like, oh, what does Bob over at Colony 5 need? Oh, well, he needs these 3 things. They're like, okay, well, then I guess I should go give them to you. Oh, no, just hit the button. It'll just send it magically. I'm like, okay. Like, it's, I don't know. It just, like, I get how everyone loved the story. Like, I was enjoying the story too, like seeing them grow and see the cinema scenes and stuff. But it was just like, there's so much work in between it. It's not worth, like, at this point I might just watch a YouTube video where they cut the cinema scenes together, and so that I don't have to waste like 40, 60, 70 hours of my time with this battle that's the same every time I fight, like whether it's a boss or a scrub, like it's always the same.
The story does get insane. I believe the end of chapter 5 into chapter 6 is like, whoo lordy. Yeah, if you don't plan on playing the game, I would recommend doing. Yeah, I'm sure someone has put a supercut together,
Yeah,
or something like that. That I think the story does get pretty crazy, and yeah, I would recommend at least checking it out if you're going the YouTube way.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll end up doing. But
for me, it's like, maybe I'll go back to it or something. But I'm just like sort of the combat is kind of just like like I got up to like I've got to do all this stuff, and I'm just like I don't want to. Like I've got to go to these islands and run around, and then you have like people trying to start fights with you when they're behind a wall on another floor, and you're just there like.
I will say that island, once you get the boat, and like some of that stuff is sort of tedious because it's like, hey, go over here and do this, and just like visually, like it's sort of nice to see the different areas, but it very felt like, and hey, then, go kill this, grab that, come back, hey, go, and it's like, I just want to get on with it.
And then I jump in an area with overleveled guys and try to run through without getting knocked out, and then get knocked out and respawn in a spot that doesn't help me get out of there any better. We like try and sneak around. Just because I was exploring, and then I'm punished because the things are like 20, 30 levels higher, and I'm like, why is tough guys over here? Like a whole group of them, not just like one big ape or whatever, which the one I've seen in this game is pretty easy to avoid because he's on a set path and not running wild.
I don't think there's a huge group of us that enjoyed Xenoblade 2 over Xenoblade 3 from the sounds of it, but I'll definitely lead the charge for Xenoblade 2 still being the number 1 game on Switch.
We know why you like Xenoblade 2.
Not just because of that.
You pervert.
The one thing that's interesting to me is I'm curious if I played it now, if I'd still have the same attitude towards it. Like, is it just the right game at the right time, and I'm having pink covered, rose colored goggles or whatever? But I don't know if I was going to play Xenoblade again, I would definitely start up 2 before I ever started up 3.
Well, in our inevitable 2025 replay of Xenoblade 2, we'll finally find out the answer.
When we have 125 hours to spare for some reason.
Yeah.
That's the year that Square Enix will go bankrupt.
Yeah. They're finally out. Now we can afford to play other games.
Yeah. When they tried to do another Final Fantasy animated movie.
Oh, God.
I've only watched one and I didn't like it. So.
Well, I think that'll just about do it for this episode of our biggest disappointments. I think I can only think of one other episode we've done like this in our almost 200 episode run now. I think the other one was RPGs that we just didn't click with, and I think that was a long time ago. It might have been like a year or a few years ago, but yeah, it's good to get some grievances off our chests every now and then. You can't like every game. With the amount of games we play, we're definitely going to run into some stinkers at some point. So, heed our warnings for any of these games if you haven't already picked them up, I guess.
So how many Octopath Travelers does Xenoblade 3 get?
8.
8 out of 5. Oh, man. Yeah, well, it'll be like you said. It'll be.
We brought up Octopath, and the baby started crying.
Yeah.
It's okay, Jordan.
Yeah. When did Jordan sneak into the call here? Yeah, I guess we'll go from there though. Want to thank everyone for listening. Hope obviously this isn't going to come out at the time of the Game Awards recording, but I hope everyone enjoyed it when it.
You got 15 minutes. You can edit it real quick.
I know.
We'll just stay on call.
Yeah. We're just gonna merge right into a live reaction of the Game Awards. No, I guess
make it 4.5 hour podcast.
That's right. They get sued by Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for everyone for listening, and check us out at thethirstymage.com if you want to hop onto our Discord and chat about things further. If you want to let us know why we were wrong about why we were disappointed, you can certainly try to debate. That's up to you. But as for that, we'll go from there. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you out at the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.